She isn't raising her voice, she isn't scolding, she isn't even making demands. She's just watching. Her smile seems effortless, her words sound casual, even sweet. But behind that gentle calm lies something far more deliberate, a silent calculation, a quiet audit of your essence. She's not testing you with obvious confrontation. No, the real test is subtler, sharper. It comes hidden inside moments, wrapped in silence, disguised as something innocent. A pause after a question, a request that seems harmless, a shift in tone so faint that you almost miss it. But those small moments, they are pressure points, invisible tripwires scattered in your path. Step wrong, and without saying a word, she knows everything about you. Because here's the truth. Women rarely test you through arguments. They test you through silence, through patience, through micro-signals that pierce deeper than any words could. It's not cruelty, it's instinct. She wants to see if the man in front of her carries structure, or if he will crumble under the weight of soft pressure. She wants to know, is this a man I can lean on, or will I have to carry the crown myself? And this is where most men fall into the paradox. They believe they are building connection, when in reality, they are being measured. They think they are proving love, but in her eyes, they are proving weakness. Because attraction, real attraction, is not about words. It's about architecture, the architecture of your presence, the stability of your frame. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Love may inspire, but fear maintains respect, and respect is the soil where desire grows. This isn't about becoming cruel or heartless. It's about understanding one simple principle. If you do not rule yourself, someone else will. So, let's begin. Imagine this. You are deep in focus, working, building, creating. Your mind is sharp, your energy committed, your will fully engaged. And then she walks in. Her voice is light, playful even. She leans on the table, smiles, and says something like, "Babe, can you help me for a second? Just a quick favor." It's not urgent, not dangerous, not necessary, but the timing is surgical. She didn't ask when you were scrolling your phone. She didn't ask when you were bored. She asked the moment your focus was strongest. Why? Because this is not about the favor. It's about attention, about power, about whether your mission rules you or whether she does. Now, the ordinary man hears her voice, shuts his laptop, and immediately jumps. He thinks this is love, partnership, support. He feels proud that he is helpful, but beneath her subconscious smile, something else registers. Collapse. He just surrendered his throne. He just proved that his kingdom of focus can be invaded at any time by softness and charm. He bent his priorities for approval, and once that pattern is seen, it can't be unseen. To her primal instincts, this signals fragility. If a man's frame can be broken by a casual request, how will he stand when life attacks for real? And so slowly, quietly, her respect begins to dim. She may kiss his cheek, say, "Thank you," but inside, he is no longer the fortress. He is the servant in his own kingdom. And the worst part? He doesn't even realize it. Because she doesn't judge you by intentions. She judges you by structure. And nothing collapses attraction faster than a man who negotiates with himself. But imagine another man. She asks the same favor. He looks up slowly, breath steady, posture unmoved. Calmly, without apology, he says, "I'll help you in 10 minutes. I'm finishing something important right now." No sharpness, no coldness, just calm, immovable authority. And suddenly everything changes. Because this is not defiance, it's leadership. It communicates. My mission comes first. My world cannot be rearranged by a passing request. She may feel a flicker of annoyance, maybe even confusion, but beneath it, something deeper stirs: respect. For the first time, she senses that rare presence. A man who is not enslaved by approval, who refuses to betray himself for comfort. And this, paradoxically, is what ignites her attraction. Machiavelli said, "It is better to be feared than loved if one cannot be both." But here's the deeper truth: when a man holds his frame with quiet authority, he doesn't destroy love, he amplifies it. Because women do not want to be the captain of the ship. Deep inside, they crave the storm-proof strength of a leader, a man with a compass, a man who cannot be swayed by the winds of emotion. So, she walks away, maybe playfully annoyed, but her imagination on fire. Who is this man? Why didn't he bend? Why does that boundary make my heart race? And in that moment, something ancient awakens in her. She is no longer testing to destroy. She is testing to believe. Picture this. You're out together, maybe at a dinner, maybe scrolling on the couch, maybe walking hand in hand through a crowded street. Everything feels light, effortless. And then out of nowhere, she drops a name. It could be an ex. It could be a man from her past. Or just some vague guy she used to know. She doesn't linger on it. She doesn't make a scene. She lets the name hang in the air like smoke, subtle and almost casual. Then she watches. And this, my friend, is bait. Not malicious bait. Primal bait. Because she doesn't just want to see if you desire her. She wants to see if you collapse when faced with a shadow. You see, men throughout history have fallen in two directions here. Some grow defensive, others grow jealous. Both are collapses of frame. Because when your power can be hijacked by a ghost, by something that no longer exists, you've already surrendered your throne. She isn't trying to torture you, she's trying to measure you. Because deep in the wiring of attraction, a woman doesn't just want a man who is strong when skies are clear. She wants a man who remains strong when storms are hinted at. So, what happens? The average man takes the bait. His jaw tightens, his shoulders shift. He asks questions. Who was he? How long did it last? Did you love him? He tries to act casual, but the tremor is there. The questions pile up. His energy spirals. He's no longer with her in the present moment. He's chasing shadows from the past. And in that instant, her subconscious does something merciless. It rewrites him. He is no longer the fortress. He is the boy fighting ghosts. It's not the jealousy itself that destroys attraction. It's the exposure, the revelation that his identity rests not in his own frame, but in comparison with other men. That his calm can be stolen by ambiguity. And suddenly, he is not her leader. He is her rival's shadow. But then, there's the other man. She mentions the name, lets it drift in the air. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't interrogate. He doesn't pretend not to hear, but he also doesn't step into the trap. He smirks, sips his drink, and maybe says something like, "Poor guy, I bet he still thinks about you." Then he changes the subject, moves on. His energy, unmoved, not cold, not dismissive, just sovereign. And that right there is what flips the entire script, because this communicates something profound without saying it directly. I do not compete with ghosts. I am the present. I am the standard. Her past, irrelevant. Her old flames, dead embers. Her previous choices, proof that she was searching for someone exactly like you. This is what Machiavelli called maintaining state, holding your power without needing to fight, without needing to prove, without needing to grasp. Because true presence cannot be shaken by shadows. And something curious happens in her mind when you respond this way. First comes confusion. She expected a reaction. She expected a spark of jealousy, a little fire, maybe even a hidden interrogation. But it never comes. Then comes curiosity. Why didn't he bite? Does he not care? Or is he so secure that my past has no power over him? And that absence of reaction becomes an obsession. Because now you are the riddle, the unknown variable, the fortress with no cracks. And what does the human mind crave more than anything? What it cannot fully explain. She no longer compares you to her past. She compares you to the idea of what power looks like. Mystery becomes magnetism. And soon, she is no longer testing you. She is chasing you, not physically, but psychologically. She starts looking for signs, replaying the moment in her mind, wondering what kind of man you really are. And here's the paradox. When you stop competing with ghosts, you become the only man in the room. Because women don't want to lead a man through the storm of his own insecurities. They want to follow a man who walks through the storm untouched. So remember, the test of jealousy isn't about her ex. It's not even about her words. It's about your frame. If you collapse, she loses faith. If you hold, she gains hunger. This is the second battlefield of power, the battlefield of emotional sovereignty. And once you win here, you unlock something deeper. The power of becoming not just her partner, but her anchor. The immovable center she can orbit around. At first, everything feels normal. Her voice is warm. Her laughter is easy. Her texts flow like a steady river. And then slowly it shifts. The warmth begins to cool. The emojis become fewer. The replies take longer. Her calls fade into silence, not with drama, not with anger, not even with explanation, just absence. And in that absence, a question forms in the air. Will you panic, or will you remain centered? This is the most dangerous test of all, because it's silent. There are no words, no clear signals, no direct confrontation. You're left with ambiguity. And ambiguity is a battlefield where the weak destroy themselves. Because the typical man feels this silence like a dagger. His mind begins to spiral. Did I do something wrong? Is she losing interest? Does she want someone else? And that spiral soon leaks into action. He grabs his phone, sends 3 texts in a row, then another, then a call. His words start to beg for reassurance. Are you okay? Why are you ignoring me? Please just tell me what's going on. Each message, each unanswered call is a signal flare of insecurity. He doesn't realize it, but what he's actually saying is, my emotional world depends on your response. My worth depends on your attention. And in that moment, he collapses. Because in her subconscious, the image shifts. He is no longer the fortress. He is the sandcastle, washed away by the tide of her silence. And attraction? It dies. Not because he cared, but because he cared wrong. Because his identity was revealed as fragile, dependent, tethered to her validation. But now, imagine another man. She withdraws. The message is slow. The silence grows. But he doesn't chase. He notices, yes, but instead of reaching outward, he doubles inward. He throws himself deeper into his mission, into his craft, into his life. His attention doesn't collapse into panic. It expands into purpose. And when he does respond, his words are calm, sovereign, detached. I'm here when you're ready. Nothing more, nothing less. That single sentence says more than pages of pleading, because it communicates power, authority, emotional independence. It says, I am not moved by absence. My world does not crumble in silence. You may step away, but my center remains unshaken. And here is where the paradox ignites. Instead of losing her, his calm draws her closer. Because suddenly, she is the one spinning. Her silence was meant to test, but instead, it backfires. The more she pulls back, the less he chases. The less he chases, the more she wonders. Why isn't he reaching? Does he not care? Or is his world so solid that he doesn't need to? And curiosity becomes hunger. Because in the psychology of desire, nothing is more magnetic than mystery. And mystery is born from independence. Machiavelli wrote that men are judged more by the eye than by the hand, because everyone can see, but few can feel. This is exactly what's happening. Her eyes see your calm. She can't feel your panic. And because she can't feel it, she interprets your composure as strength. And slowly, something shifts inside her. She remembers the frantic men from her past. The ones who texted all night, who begged for reassurance, who drowned in her silence. And she realizes, almost painfully, that you are not them. You're different. You're untouchable. You're the fortress. And in that realization, her attraction doesn't just return, it multiplies. Because a man who cannot be rattled by absence is a man she can trust in presence. A man who thrives in silence is a man who will thrive in storms. This is why the test of withdrawal is not cruelty, it's instinct. It's her way of asking, can I trust you when I disappear? Or will you crumble? And when you show that your worth does not depend on her response, you do something far greater than passing her test. You reframe the entire relationship. Because now, you are no longer the one being tested. She is. She becomes the one wondering, waiting, reaching. And in that shift, the dynamic flips. You are no longer the one proving yourself. You are the one being pursued. And that is the quiet power few men ever taste. This is the third battlefield of power. The battlefield of silence and withdrawal. She looks at you differently this time. Not playful, not teasing, not testing your patience. Her eyes soften, her tone lowers, and she asks something simple, yet heavy. Are you really okay? You seem different lately. This is not a trick. It's not a trap. It's an invitation. Because what she's really probing for is not your reaction, but your soul. See, most men misunderstand this moment completely. They either shut down entirely, becoming cold, distant, unreachable, or they overshare, pouring out fears, doubts, and insecurities with no boundaries. Both responses destroy the frame. Why? Because when you shut down, you communicate fear of exposure. You build a fortress so high that she can never enter. She doesn't feel safe with you, she feels locked out. And when you overshare without control, you communicate instability. You spill your rawest fears without direction, forcing her to hold weight that isn't hers to carry. Instead of feeling intimacy, she feels burdened. But the rarest man, the one she is searching for, does something entirely different. He reveals just enough. He allows her to see him without surrendering the throne of his strength. Maybe he says, "I've been tired, but I'm focused on the solution." Or, "Yes, I've been thinking about some challenges, but they won't stop me from building what matters." Brief, direct, honest, but never collapsing. This kind of vulnerability is not weakness, it's mastery. Because it shows you are not hiding from yourself, you are choosing what to reveal and how to reveal it. And this is where the paradox lives. The strongest men are not those who never bend. They are those who can bend without breaking. She feels it instantly. Her body relaxes, her heart softens, and her respect deepens. Not because you are perfect, but because you're real without being fragile. Machiavelli understood this paradox of power better than most. He wrote that true strength isn't found in the absence of fear, but in the mastery of it. And here, that mastery translates into intimacy, because you're not just showing her dominance. You're showing her something more dangerous, more magnetic, self-governance with heart. And for a woman, that is irresistible, because she doesn't want a man who hides behind stone walls, nor does she want a man who collapses into her lap. She wants the rarest kind of partner, the one who can be both fortress and garden. The one who can protect her from storms and yet invite her into the firelight of his soul. And when she senses this balance, everything changes. She no longer feels the need to test you. She no longer wonders if you'll fold under pressure. She knows. She knows you will lead with strength, but also with enough openness to be human. And that combination, the steel and the softness, is what transforms attraction into loyalty. Because tests are never really about trapping you. They are about believing in you. Every silent pause, every subtle request, every mention of the past, every withdrawal of warmth, every probing question. Each one is an ancient instinct whispering, "Can I trust you? Can I follow you? Can I surrender to you without fear?" And when you prove again and again that your center is unshakable, that your emotions are sovereign, that your silence is calm, and that even your vulnerability is chosen, not forced, then you become something very rare. You become the man who does not beg for loyalty. He commands it, not through cruelty, not through dominance, but through presence, through the architecture of a life so stable, so deliberate, so sovereign, that no storm can move it. That, my friend, is the true lesson hidden in every test. She isn't testing to destroy you, she's testing to find you, to see if you are the one who holds the compass, the one who can stand when everything else collapses. And if you are, then her tests transform into trust, her silence becomes surrender, her questions turn into admiration, and what began as a game of tension evolves into the deepest bond of all, a bond forged in respect, sealed in desire, and elevated into loyalty. Because power, real power, isn't loud, it doesn't shout, it doesn't beg. Power is silent. Power is sovereign. Power is recognized, not claimed. And once recognized, it cannot be ignored. So, the next time you feel the silence, the teasing, the withdrawal, the probing, remember, these are not traps, they are invitations. And if you answer them with sovereignty, with calm authority, with measured vulnerability, you won't just pass her tests. You'll become the man she doesn't just desire. You'll become the man she chooses, the man who commands love, respect, and loyalty without ever asking for it.